Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday Night Live. Hey, Lindia. Hey, James from Crankin' and Yankin'. Hey, thanks for stopping in. Give everybody a few minutes to jump in the chat. This is, we're going to be talking about Big Bass Tournament starting out on Monday, the 13th. This is the last live before that starts. So we'll give everybody a chance to jump in. Lindia, I just seen the premiere of your next video, or Smallwater Charter's next video. I seen the thumbnail. Man, John is creative. He is just creative. I'll just leave it at that. So everybody, we are going. I know there's not a lot of folks in here, just 6 at the moment. We're going to stop about 8:58 tonight. I do want everybody to jump over to Smallwater Charters to see their premiere video. It's going to be a pretty good one. So definitely want to jump off on that. But if you're here and I see people starting to pile in or get in here, we're up to 8 folks. Hit the old thumbs up. That helps the old algorithm as you come in. And hey, Gary. And also, I'll go ahead and put the link out. If you do want to jump up in here and ask a question or jump up and join me on the chat, feel free to do so. I enjoy anybody jumping up here. Gary typically does, but I know he's got some other stuff going on tonight. But definitely feel free to jump up in here and or just ask any question in the chat. Sorry, wire moving crazy there. We want to make sure, what I really want to do is make sure if there's any folks, because I sent this out via email and via, hey, Rob, good to see you, my friend. Just want to make sure all the folks that are joining in on the tournament, if this is their first one, if they have any questions to knock it out. And hey, just to the good Wednesday night BS session that we always have as well. So, sorry, the camera, I'm trying to adjust it just a little bit. I hit it when I grabbed my soda a while ago, or my drink. So, Rob, were you I know like 7 or 8 Robs. So Rob, where you jumping in from? Got Rob, the Shiner guy from Florida. I got a Rob in Virginia, a Rob in North Carolina, and there's a Rob in California now. So quite a few Robs out there. So let me know where you're at. Florida. Okay. Well, there's a couple from Florida. Hey, Ronald. You said, I'm new to this. Ronald Sherrill asked, how is the tournament judged? So the tournament is judged on length first. So starting Friday, everyone that's in the tournament will get a participant code from me. I'm going to be sending those out about midday starting Friday. And you put your catch on the bump board and capture a photo of that with the length. And the length is the very first thing we judge on. If for some reason we have a tie, feel free to take a photo with your fish with a digital scale showing the weight. The weight is the tiebreaker, but we are a length first tournament. So we judge the length. We have had ties in the past, and we use the weight as the tiebreaker. So that's how we judge the tournament. These online tournaments, it's just easier to do length. It eliminates any type of disparity in people's scales or things of that nature. But length first. So yeah, it's a great tournament. We have fun with this. The last tournament of last year, it was just great. We had 511 bass registered in that 5 bass draw tournament. So Ronald, I hope that answered your question. We're length first based off the bump board. And I request, and you'll see this in the instructions, tell me what you think your bass is that you're sending in to the closest 1/4 of an inch. So if it's 21 1/4, tell me, hey, it's 21 1/4. I am the tournament director. I do look at every single length and I validate every length. So just FYI. And I've had a few who had to blow up real close and get down to make sure they're right. You know, if it's an eighth of an inch, I'll. So Ronald, in this tournament, no, the big bass tournament, the numbers don't count. This is the first tournaments are big bass only. The next tournament, which is the 5 bass draw in the summer, that is a nationwide tournament. You have to have a total of 5 bass. So I'll get into more details on that, or you can go onto my website, ShaneFlynnOutdoors.com/tournament instructions and look at those tournaments, or go back on YouTube and look at that. That format, yes, you have to have 5 total bass, and we spread that over 6 weeks. So you have to catch 3 in the first 3 weeks, and then in the second 3 weeks, the 2 that you've got to catch have to be larger than the ones from your first 3 in the first part of the tournament. It's really fun. It's really fun. So Rob, that was Josh Caney. You're asking about last live video. You had a gentleman talking about a fish foundation or something like that. I'd love to do that. How can I support the cause? Host a peer event in the Tampa area. Josh probably will jump on here, and I will connect you with Josh Caney. I've known Josh for years and years. He and I served in the Air Force together. He can hook you up with that. It is a great program. And, you know, like you said, last time they had Hank Parker come in and support it. That's awesome. So Rob, if you want to shoot me an email at ShaneFlynnOutdoors@yahoo.com, I will connect you via email as well if he doesn't show up today. So that is a great program for kids. And I'm trying to figure out how we're going to support that here. I've talked about this on lives before. I want to find a way to give back to the youth. And we're going to do it one way or another. I'll figure it out. So Ronald, thanks. You got 2 good questions popped in there. If you got some more, throw them out. I'll answer them as best I can. I'll answer them. I have to. I'm the tournament director. So this first tournament, James, thank you. This first tournament, the Big Bass Challenge, is for the big bass in that region. Let me clarify this, though. Please register every fish that you want to register for big bass. So a lot of folks, this happened last year. This is the reason I say that. I see Josh is on here. I'll jump you up here in just a second, Josh. We had a few people that said, oh, I only had a 20-incher or 20 and a half. I can catch bigger. Well, if they had registered that 20 and a half, they'd have got 3rd or 2nd place. I can't remember what it was specifically. So if you catch a 20 or a 19 and a half or whatever, throw it up there. You can register as many fish in this tournament as you want to. If you want to register a 12-incher, a 14, a 16, an 18, I'll take them all, right? I'll just throw out your smallest fish, and your largest fish at the end of the tournament will count. Nick, you just said I caught a ton of fish this evening. I don't know if that's awesome. It's big bass season right now. It's the spring, so it's fun to get out there and you can catch a lot of numbers. You can catch a lot of big bass. My last 3 outings, I've had multiple big bass catches, and me and John. I don't know if John is on here yet. Lindy is on here. John's husband. He and I are on an 8-pound quest. I've already got an 8-pounder this year in Virginia. He's got an 8-pounder in Florida. Now it's time for a 9-pounder championship. Wish the 25-incher would count. So there's John. He just jumped up on here, John. So there's a race between Virginia and Florida to get a 9-pounder first. Yeah, if you got a 6-pounder, Nick, if you're on a 7-pounder could win it. Here, I'm going to jump Josh up in this stream. Hey, Josh, how are you, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
Good. Hey, Rob is on here, and he was just asking about the foundation that you talked about last week. So I think Rob is on YouTube. I know he's on YouTube. So if you could connect with him,
okay.
I can, if you want to, private message him, or I can get if he emails me, I'll get it to you about which foundation you were working with. So speaking of 7-pounders, Josh, you caught a 7-pounder this week already, hadn't you?
I was about 1.5 ounces shy of an 8.
Oh,
but he measured 22 inches, so that was measured like a 6.5.
Wow. That's so I caught an 8 that you've seen. It
Yep.
was 23 and a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting. So Rob sent me an email, Josh. I'll get you guys connected.
Sounds good.
I just seen it come across on my watch there. Yeah. So folks that are first time on this tournament, you could catch an 8-pounder and it'd be 22 inches, and someone else catch an 8-pounder it'd be 23 inches. That's why we do length first on these tournaments. So James, you said they were out of stock on the bump boards. There's several different brands out there. I'm shocked that they're out of bump boards. Hopefully it's because everybody's entering the tournament.
I saw that 2 of those that you advertised, Shane, they were like 2 or 3 weeks out from being delivered. I went with Yak, I think is the brand.
Yeah.
And was able to get one.
Yeah, the Yak ones float. That's a lot of folks use those in the kayak tournaments. They float and you don't lose them. Yeah, so John, I've already pumped this a little bit, but we will end this a little bit early, or a few minutes early before 9, where we can catch your live. I got to leave it to John, man. He is a creative mind when it comes to his videos, and he's got a good one coming at 9 o'clock tonight. So Josh, what'd you catch that big one
on? Shaky head.
Shaky head?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little odd for this time of year.
Well, that was all they wanted that day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what you got to do, right? You got to get out and get them. Hey, Rob, thanks for jumping in. Hey, James, the tri-fold one will work. The Rapala tri-fold, that works as well. It's a little chintzy though. It's you get what you paid for on that one, but it works. If that's all they have available, there's a Rapala tri-fold one that you can get. I think they're like $14, but they're pretty flimsy. But for measuring fish, it works. What is the water temperature where you're at there in Alabama?
We're up to like 70, 72.
Oh, so the spawn's going.
Oh yeah, it's on.
It's on. Well, hopefully it's on starting Monday for you as well.
Right.
I caught the 8-pounder I caught on Saturday. The water temperature was 45.5. Yeah, actually I caught an 8, a 6.5, 2 6s actually, a 5. I caught a lot of big ones. It's going to come out in an episode next week. But
that sounds like a good day.
It was. As a matter of fact, there was a tournament on that lake that I was going to fish, but I had to travel on Sunday night, or I was supposed to travel on Sunday night. The winning weight on that tournament the next day was 11 pounds, which just blew my mind. I had over 25 pounds in 5 bass easily.
We had a guy down here last week caught 2 7-pounders on Lake Martin, which is unheard of. Those 2 fish alone would win 90% of the tournaments down here.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm froze, Josh, or you're froze. Can you see me?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I think you're frozen. That's all right. You'll unfreeze in a minute. So, that's interesting. If you get 2 7-pounders in one tournament, you ought to win, right?
Yeah.
If I was in any tournament with the catches I had on there you go. Well, you are still froze. If I hadn't came in the top 3 with 26, 27 pounds of bass in any tournament, I'd have probably been a little disappointed. So Gary says, and he keeps sending me clips of those, which I refuse to look at anymore because it's depressing. So I sent, this is funny and depressing and sad and happy. So I always mess with Gary, and it's just between 2 good friends. When I catch a big bass out on the boat, I'll take a quick video of like, hey, what are you doing, buddy? I'm out here catching big bass, and I'll send it to Gary. And now he's to the point, he's like, I'm not watching them anymore. And he sent me one on Saturday, and I didn't send him one of the 8-pounder. I sent him one of like a 5 or 6-pounder I caught, and he sent me this long diatribe. He's like, I'm not watching your videos. I'm out here trying to fish. And I was like, I got you. So, but Gary, I'm still going to send them to you. Do you do that to the people? John says he does that to the people at work. So you gotta, and John, you're retired. You got to have a little bit of fun, right? You got to rub it in a little bit. So you still there, Josh?
I'm here.
And you're still frozen. Hey, I'm going to drop you out of the video and I'll bring you back in and give you a couple minutes. See if you'll come back in. Sound good?
Yeah.
So water temperature is 83, John. Man, that's bathtub water. Rob says, I've been sending my cousin in New England pics of my bass I've been catching. He said the same thing. It's 20 degrees here. I'm jealous. Yeah, it's all in fun, right? Rob, man, that Shiner guy, Rob. I got 2 Robs in here. Rob says, John sends me big fish pics, and I send him Bojangles pics back. That is awesome. And if I'm not mistaken, I've heard that John's a big Bojangles. John Hedrick's a big Bojangle guy. Oh, that's right. John is going to Donkeyland with Joe from Parabellum Fishing and Doc from Coastal Fever Fishing. I didn't see Joe in here. I added the Parabellum Fishing decal to the banner in the back. He sent me some awesome jig heads today. I'm concerned. I'm just going to say this out loud publicly. I'm concerned for everybody's safety and well-being that's going to be on that boat with you, John. Mainly from their mental safety. If you guys can survive all day out there, I'm sure you can. I'm teasing primarily, but that ought to be a blast. And I can't wait to see the footage. It's probably going to take you longer to edit that footage than anything, I'm sure. Rob, that Shiner guy, are you going to be out there? And Josh is trying to jump back in, but he's still not coming up on video. Josh is still not showing up on video. Hey, Stephen Staley. Is it Straley? Thanks for jumping in. You want to know how the tournaments are judged? All right, good question. We just went over this, but this is what this live is about, to talk about the tournaments. So our tournaments are judged first on length. That's why you have to have a bump board. So you send your photos of your fish out on a bump board with your participant code in view, and the length of your fish is the number one thing we look at. So we're looking for the longest fish. And you just jumped in. We're just talking about somebody's 8-pounder would be 22 inches and another 8-pounder would be 23 inches. So how do we weigh that out, or how do we look at that? So length is first. And then if you catch a big bass, and if you're in the big bass tournament, I highly recommend that you go ahead and do a weight. And to do a weight, you just have has to be on a digital scale, holding your fish up full length where we can see it. The weight is the tiebreaker. So if someone has if we had 2 22-inch bass, I use the weight as a tiebreaker. So we are a length first tournament. Use your bump board your instructions will come out starting Friday afternoon. I'll be sending everybody their participant code and detailed instructions since your first tournament. And I'll actually include a sample photo of how to take your photo of your fish with your participant code in there. So length first is how we do our tournaments, Stephen, and then weight is the tiebreaker. Rob says, I have to work all weekend. Stinks, man. I'm just catching up here on comments. Stephen, if you have any other questions, don't feel free to jump in and throw it out there. Again, participant codes for all the folks that are in the tournament will start flowing to you Friday afternoon, Saturday. I want to give you a day or two to get if you want to do a plastic card or whatever. But I just want to make sure everybody realizes, and I put it in the instructions pretty clearly. I will not count any pictures of fish without their participant code being visible. Or you can say it if it's a video. If you say your participant code in your video, if you take a video of your fish, that's fine as well. So James is saying someone's going to get a 7+. I want to see this. I want to see that footage. I want to see who's going to jump out and get the net between John, Joe, and Doc. So who's going to get the net when someone hooks into a 7-pounder? Because someone's going to jump out and get the net. Oh, you're saying, John, you're going to boat flip a big bass? I want to see it. I'll get net unless I have it. Okay. All right. John's a net man unless he's the guy with the big one. Then John and Joe and Doc will have to wrestle over it. John, you could probably boat flip a pretty big bass. Because you use braided line, but you have spinning rod, so it's a little more difficult, but you can do it. You can probably get a 7 or 8 pound bass boat flip. Nick Herbert says, sucks our Dick's Sporting Goods stopped carrying fishing gear. Really? I didn't realize Dick's Sporting Goods quit carrying fishing gear. That stinks. That does stink. John, you're saying you flipped a 6+. I have too. One of my short videos, you've seen one of 6+. I boat flipped a couple 4-pounders here in the last few days, and every time I do it, I go, I shouldn't do that, but I do it anyway. But I wasn't about to try to boat flip an 8-pounder. That's probably 6 is the limit. 8, no way. No way I'm going to try to boat flip an 8. 6, especially if they're like jumping when you try to boat flip them, you can get them in the boat pretty easily. And John, your boat's pretty low to the water like mine is, so it can be done. Like Gary from Gary's Fish Tales, who just popped up here with the word chicken. John says, I support the rod manufacturers. I know you do. We all do, John. Gary's boat's a little bit higher because he's got a bay boat. So it sets a little bit higher. So it's a little bit more of a challenge in his boat to boat flip. And if I boat flip one in his boat next weekend down on Seminole, that's 6 pounds. It's a pretty good accomplishment. But I'm going to try to avoid that. Hey, Brian, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. I know you went out yesterday on Mooney in that cold wind. Did you catch any big ones? Because I went out for a couple hours in the afternoon and I just turned right back around. It was too cold. By the way, when it's 52, 53 degrees and the wind's blowing 20 to 25, nope, you didn't catch any either. 20 to 25 miles per hour on that 45-degree water. It's cold. Yeah, we're going to, Rob, Gary and I are fishing a tournament, not this weekend, but the 17th and 18th. A week from this weekend, we have the Lunkers tournament that we're part of there in Florida. It's fishing in Seminole. It's a 2-day tournament. It's their spring bash. So I don't think Seminole's Brackus. No. Hey, Brian, I wasn't out on Mooney. I was on Able. I just went closer because it was so cold. I knew it wasn't going to be out there long. Lindy, I don't think Seminole's brackish. It's the Chattahoochee and the Flint rivers feed Seminole just like they do Lake Eufaula. So, as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, someone correct me if I'm wrong, Eufaula flows down into Seminole from the Chattahoochee because the Hooch is up north. Oh, there's Josh. He's back. You going out tomorrow, Brian? Good luck. It's going to be a tough day tomorrow, too. It should be a little warmer, but it's hey, Josh, you're not frozen.
I'm back.
Oh, yeah, Seminole is Gary just said it's 100% fresh. And it is a tough lake to fish. Seminole's a pretty tough lake. I know, Seminole is above the dam, yeah. It is a tough lake to fish. Gary Gary's fished what, 7 or 8 tournaments, 6 or 7 tournaments there, so he knows a few spots. We're going to do a pre-fish day, but I mean, Lake Eufaula is a tough lake to fish too if you don't know nothing about it. We went down there, and I finished 3rd, and Gary finished 4th in that tournament if I recall correctly. So I mean, it's bass fishing. We can figure it out, hopefully, or not, or we'll just be contributors of our money to the winners. That's the other way. So, Josh, have you fished Seminole or Eufaula?
I fished both, but it's been a while. I haven't fished them since I moved back.
Okay. Yeah, I think that Gary says yes, the 4th. I don't know what that was for. I don't know which one's tougher. I guess I'll find out when we get down there on Seminole in a week or so. Diet Apalachicola. I got you, John. And Gary, the first tournament I fished in Florida, by the way, was on the Apalachicola. And you can, Gary's saying yes, he gets 4th place in the tournament. You can be on a diet in Apalachicola because the fish are hard to catch when that water and that river is moving. I mean, me and Gary, we caught some fish, but man, that was when that water is moving, you throw your bait in front of you on the river and it's gone. I mean, when that river is moving, you've got to cast upstream and let it come down. It's moving that damn fast when you're on the Apalachicola. So, yes, Apalachicola River starts at the Lake Seminole Dam. Swanee. Rob says he's camped out there but never fished it. So, Winter Haven. I've heard about Chris Shelton. You're asking about, have you fished the chain of lakes in Winter Haven, Florida? I've heard there's a good fishing down in that area. So, John, you're saying there were folks camped at Donkey Land? Man, they're roughing it. Josh, if you ever get a chance to go to Donkey Land, it's great. It's Kenansville Reservoir if you look on the map.
Okay.
But there is nothing. I mean, it is 16 miles of dirt road to get to that lake. And I mean, you're going to see all kinds of wildlife getting out there. But John's saying there's a camper out there. They're going to have a generator or they're roughing it. I mean, and even the boat ramp's fine. It's really steep, but I mean, there's just not much out there. James, your son lives in Winter Haven, and you probably know if there's good fishing down there. So Josh, where are you going to start at? I know Monday, Mr. Retiree here, you're like John, you got all your time. What lake are you starting on?
I'm probably going to start here at the lake in the neighborhood. See what happens from there. Okay. Lake Jordan will be quickly on the list.
All right. I mean, I have a feeling that, it's going to be it could be a 25. It's going to be a 25 incher to take to win the tournament. Last year was 22.5. Now that was my first tournament I put on. I think we only had 21 folks in that. And Lindia is a reigning Big Bass champion. I'm sure she's going to be out there trying to retain the title, but I think it's going to take a 24 or 25 to win it this year. But we'll see. That's why you got to go out there and catch them. I was part of me last year, and this is me being stubborn and greedy at the same time. Lindia just said, I'm going to give it my all. Lindia, I know you will. I've been on the boat with you. Lindia's a grinder. I mean, I stand up on the boat and I don't stop fishing, and Lindia is the same way. She's a grinder. That 25 would have had won it, I believe. So, hey, John, that 8-pounder that you just caught, that was 25 inches? I didn't catch the length on it. And Rob saying Lake Kissimmee is a bass factory. Every time I go out there, we're slaying the big ones. I believe it. Kissimmee's famous for catching a lot of fish. But man, it's a lot of water too. Okay, so John, yeah, if you had an 8-pounder that's 25 inches, you'd probably that could probably win it this year. So too bad you didn't catch it on Monday. Now, do I know John? Okay, we'll see in the video coming up. We'll have at 9 o'clock. I'll have that bass in there. But I know John will be out there Monday. Him and Lindy will be out there going at it. Hey, John, were you on Garcia or were you on Donkeyland when you catch it? If you want to give us a sneak peek before the 9 o'clock premiere. Yeah, never too bad. Yeah. And by the way, John, I said this before you were on Donkeyland. I said this before you jumped in, and Lindy could throw you in. There's a race now to 9 pounds. I've got to get a 9-pounder before you do down in Florida. You might win, but I'm doing that to keep me focused on getting another big bass. So, because I can't compete in my own damn tournament, so it's a personal challenge between me and you, John. First to 9 pounds. Lindy, I know you're in North Carolina, so you'll be down. I'm hoping. Well, we got a month. The tournament's a month long, so we got plenty of time. I know, John, you were 2 ounces away, but that's 2 ounces. 9 pounds. Yeah, the 8-pounder I caught on the video. I said this like 3 times. I said it was 808. I was out of my boat getting a tackle box out to put tackle in it, getting ready for the tournament, and I just picked up that scale because I saved it. I got one of those Rapala scales where you save the big bass. It wasn't 808. It was 888. So it was 8.5. Oh no, because it's in the 10th, so it was almost 8 3. That's 8 3/4. But I think I was so excited. What's that?
8:14.
Yeah, I was so excited that I caught the damn fish. I was just like, and I'm looking at the video will be out next week, but I'm sitting there shaking, holding the damn scale, and I was like 808, 808. And if I look, it was 888. Brian says 2 ounces is a 1 fish sinker. Yeah. Don't go there, Brian. John says I'm high maintenance as well. So, but I mean, I'd love to get to that 9-pound range. That's a big bass anywhere, but Virginia, that's what's crazy though. Virginia's big bass is the state record 16 pounds. And some states in the South don't have a 16-pound as a state record. Yeah. So my wife would love to go on vacation and leave me home. That's what Rob the Shiner guy, that Shiner guy says. I'm going to send Shane everything I catch. James, I believe you will, because you have got a pond in the back of his house. If you haven't watched Cranking and Yanking, Josh, I guess it's been over a year now, James, that you moved. And when he moved, he's got a big pond in the back of his house. And it's loaded with dinks. So I'm sure you can send me plenty of them. I'll register every one of them, James. Yeah, the world record is 22 pounds. I haven't seen, and no one's getting close to that. Brian, I have 2 Virginia 10-pounders. I'm shooting for a Mooney 9-pounder soon. Brian, I know you showed me your picture of your 10-pounders. And I know you caught one on the river, which is amazing. If you catch a 9-pounder in Mooney, I just think I think we're in the 8-pound range this year for Mooney. It's not, I just don't know if we're there for 9. It won't be long though. We talk about Mooney a lot, me and Brian. That's a new lake that's about, I guess it's 10 years old now. And actually Brian worked on building that lake years ago. And he fishes it extensively and catches a lot of 6 and 7, and he's caught 8s out there. So I mean, a 9's coming, but it's still a new lake. Yeah. I've got 6 and 7s out of there. I caught a 6 a couple days ago, 640 out of there. So they're big ones, and there's lots of bait fish in there, but I don't know if we're at the 9-pound range yet. John's PB is 10.6. Rod said 10.6, super impressive. Yeah, John, you got me. Mine's an easy one to remember, 10.4. Mine's 10.4 out of Lake Nosworthy, Texas, right by Goodfellow Air Force Base. I don't know if you ever went down there, Josh. You ever go to Goodfellow in your time? You're not missing anything. The record Florida bass is 1767. Yeah, that sounds right. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I've looked at it I think when I went down there to Florida to fish with you, John, I was curious and looked it up. Lindy's got a 9.9 is a big one. Chris Shelton, wow, 11.6 in a pond. Wow. Yeah, James, I've seen James tells a good story. If you ever get a chance, anybody, James talks about catching his 9-pounder on my fish chatter episode that I did with him. I love that his thought process on why he mounted it. It's in his office in the wall. And he said, I might as well get this mounted. I'll probably never catch a 9-pounder again. And if I'm not mistaken, James, you still haven't caught another 9-pounder. Part of me goes, did you jinx yourself? But it's still interesting how you came up with that. I'm on the wall since 1995. It's there. Pond Monster is 11.6, a big pond bass. That's a huge pond bass. Yeah, James is saying, nope, haven't caught a bigger one. So just looking, someone just sent me an email to register on the tournament. By the way, if anyone's on here that hasn't registered, you've got till noon on Sunday to register for the Southern Big Bass Tournament. All the registrations are open for the Northern Big Bass and the Western Big Bass. I'm starting to get a lot of folks for the Western Big Bass. That North Big Bass Challenge is growing. It's probably going to grow bigger, as big as the Southern Big Bass Challenge. I think I'm up around 120 folks now, and I'm getting about 5 or 6 a day that are jumping in for the tournament. Gary, 7:15. We got to get Gary an 8. Gary, the goal is in the Seminole tournament, we get you an 8. We only need 1 ounce. John and Lindy will have to settle for 2nd and 3rd. Well, thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. I have got believe it or not, I've got folks from Connecticut, Maine, Vermont, all the New England states there's folks from every state registered. I think about the only state that, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't got anybody from Rhode Island. I was counting this today. I think Rhode Island, Montana, and Wyoming is the only 3 states I don't have anyone registered, and Alaska and Hawaii. I don't have anyone in Alaska and Hawaii. But in the lower 48, I think it's Rhode Island, Montana. No, Rhode Island, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming are the only states in the lower 48 people aren't registered in. I got Colorado, South Dakota, North Dakota, all that. So you'll have someone from Rhode Island soon. Okay, there we go. That's awesome. I can fish from a kayak, correct? Yes, you can, Chris. You can fish from the bank, boat, kayak, canoe, however you would like to fish it. There is no limitations, and the big bass or the 5 bass challenge, or the 5 bass draw we did last year, the winner of that, Patrick from Paul Man's Fishing, he won it partially fishing from the bank and partially fishing. The other part of his catches were off a kayak, and somewhat of a homemade kayak. It's pretty interesting how I caught him. He actually fell off of the kayak at night night fishing. So, and his story was amazing last year that how he won that tournament. But he did a combination of bank fishing and kayak fishing. And yes, it is all artificial bait. James has got to throw out live scope. You can use whatever you want. If you need to cheat with live scope, and see, James, I even threw it in there for you. If you need to cheat with live scope, it's a legal thing to use, so you can use it. It's all artificial bait. And I did have someone. You're gonna, John will get a kick out of this. I guess there's several YouTube/Facebook groups that have the term small water charters associated with their guide business. And one person is accusing you guys of fishing with live bait because you were a small water charters. And I was like, and I sent them the link to your video, to your YouTube channel, and said, "Oh, you tell me if they're fishing with live bait. Here's everything they caught in the tournament." I heard nothing back. I fish a private pond outside of Mooney a lot. It has some big ones. Caught 6.5 and a 5. Hey, Nick, if you can get them, catch them out of a pond, catch them out of a lake, catch them out of a river, catch them out of a creek, all counts. Yeah, if a lot of people, you can catch some big. Hey, Ted, thanks for jumping in. You can catch some big bass on shiners, right? But for the most of the time, you're going to catch more and bigger fish on artificials if you know what you're doing bass fishing. Yeah, when you're saltwater fishing, that's a different animal. So I think a lot of people be fishing beds, so I'll be leaving. Yeah, that's a good point, James. A lot of people, it'll be spawning season for a lot of folks, so the live scope is right here. Eyeballs. And you know, this time of year, I mean, I'm going to put out I did put out a live scope video last summer where I took a guy, Thomas Aarons from Fishing the DMV, Pump His Channel, really good channel. He and I went out and sniped bass with live scope. It was fun because we'd never done it before. I could have fished circles around us not doing that. I would have caught twice as much fish not using live scope and trying to snipe bass. So I don't think it is productive. It works good at times, but you can catch more fish without using live scope. Roland catches Higgins on his shine. Yeah, I know Roland does a lot of shiner fishing. So yeah, Roland's a legend, man. John, doesn't he go out and catch his own shiners and everything when he takes people out? He catches the shiners, takes his guides out, the whole 9 yards. Roland Martin's in his 80s, and he still does that. It's amazing. So it's hard to see beds in kayak. It is. It's really hard to see beds in kayak. But like Brian Green, I watch Brian fish out on Mooney, and I can tell when it's Brian because he stands up in his kayak and fishes. Not many people do that. And hey, if you're good at doing that, good on you. Brian does it all the time, but that's one way of getting past the, not being able to see the beds is stand up on your kayak. Oh, that's a good point, James. You can, John just said Roland catches his own shiners and everything. So, but James puts up a good point. You can go up and spook bass and they'll come back to their beds. They do. That is definitely one way of doing it if you can't see them. And supplies food, drinks, and cocktails. Roland Martin does. That doesn't surprise me either. Yeah. Yeah. Deep structure on suspending fish for live scope. That's a good point, Brian. That's about the only time I use my live scope for fishing is for deep structure. Yeah, Chris said, thanks. He'll try that. It works. I've done it in the past. It may be a little tougher to get them, but you can actually spook them. They'll come back, and you'll get a better chance at getting them sometimes. I know what Ted's alluding to. Ted's alluding to John's. Ted goes, after tonight, you might pass Roland, John. Talking about the video that's coming up. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's pretty creative. Josh, are you turkey hunting? Is turkey season open in Alabama?
I am not doing any turkey hunting this year. I'm not sure when it opens. I don't think it's open yet.
Okay. It's Chris Shelton is asking, what is LiveScope? Chris, LiveScope is a forward-facing sonar. So you know how people can look down with your sonar? You can actually LiveScope. You put it on there. You can put it on your trolling motor, put it on a stick, whatever. And it faces forward. I have it on my trolling motor, my foot control trolling motor, and it sends out an 8-degree beam, and you can see out to actually you can set it out up to 150 feet if I'm not mistaken. I got mine set about 55 or 60 feet, but you can actually see blips of fish out there. You can't tell if they're bass. You don't know what kind of fish they are, but you can see the fish. James says, I think Atari makes it. So while I'm thinking about it, James has, if you go to Crankin' and Yankin's YouTube channel, he has a phenomenal video on LiveScope. You will pee yourself laughing when you see that video. Yeah. So Nick, you can use LiveScope on your kayak. Brian has LiveScope on his kayak. Oh, you're saying you're getting ready for a kayak. Bank fishing has its limits. Yes, Nick, it does. But you know, if you're going to jump into kayak, talk to Brian as well. Brian, don't tell me shush. You know you got LiveScope. You got LiveScope. But if you're going to jump into the kayak market, talk to somebody like Brian Green and make a smart choice on your kayak, because there's a lot of different kayaks out there, but you want to get one that is right for you. And I'd even go if you can buy a small aluminum bass boat, like a small aluminum John boat, that's probably just as effective. If you want to go out that way too, probably about the same amount of money. All your bank spots at Mooney are underwater. Well, Mooney's at full pull, so there's still great places on the bank though. I see a lot of folks out there. John makes a good point. Gators in the video coming up. Kayaks are no bueno in Florida. I got you. I seen some gators when I was there on Donkey Land, so I am not even thinking about. I would never even think about getting in a kayak. James at Crankin' Yankin has what they call a water moccasin. Oh, James just put that up there. I hadn't seen a gator in a while, and he's in a P-row. James from Crankin' Yankin it's called a water moccasin. It's a type of P-row, and I think it's pretty cool. If I would go with that P-row before I go with a kayak. All my boats are John boats. Thanks, John. I got it. Nick, I will tell you, Nick, don't be discouraged on the don't be discouraged on the bank fishing. You can catch some big fish on bank fishing as well. He's got a 5-inch deficit starting to dry. Okay, I'm not sure what Lindy is talking about, but probably rain there in North Carolina. It is the dry season for Florida and for your part of the neck of the woods there too, Josh, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we could use some rain here.
Yeah, we're good now. I mean, we were behind. My daughter and my granddaughter just drove up. James, you're thinking about getting the Tracker Classic. I hear a lot of good things about that boat. I mean, the price is right, and it's a good fishing boat. Lindy is saying, no, it's dry in Florida. That would not be a bad boat to jump into, James, I think. And yeah, it's for the price point. Especially with the 60 horse, I think they're like $10,995. That's a good choice. if the Gators are crazy in Florida right now, why I got the Freedom seed spreader chase just in case. Okay, well, is it Gator hunting season in Florida right now? I don't know when Gator season is. But I know there's a certain time of year when the Gators are crazy. They're 16K? Wow. They were just like $10,000, $11,000 2-3 years ago. Just like everything else, crazy increase. I know I bought my boat that I bought right when COVID kicked off is $2,500 more than it was, and it's aluminum. It's aluminum. It's the same stuff, so it's crazy. Yeah, James says 11,000 3 years ago. Yeah. I was complaining the other day about I've got to buy a new truck, and trucks are crazy expensive. You gonna say hi, Lana Bear? No, granddaughter's not saying hi to that. Steve Straley says, I live on the border of West Virginia, Kentucky. Fish both states. How would that work for the regions? If I'm not mistaken, Kentucky is in the south. Is West Virginia in the south? That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up, Stephen. Let me check real quick. I don't remember where your West Virginia is. You obviously have looked. And fishing tournaments. Just looking real quick, if you don't mind. I will make sure I can answer that. Yeah, West Virginia is in the north. So here's how this will work, Stephen. Yeah, Stephen. So for this, if you want to fish the Southern tournament, only your catches in Kentucky. For your Northern tournament, only your catches in West Virginia. Man, you're in a good spot. That's good fishing in that area. But if you want to fish, the great news is you get to fish both, right? So your catches in Kentucky will qualify for your Southern region, and then your catches that you do in West Virginia, you can fish the Northern region tournaments. It's free to fish both, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, you can only register your fish in Kentucky in the Southern, and then your West Virginia fish can be in the Northern. So that's I'm glad you brought that up, Stephen. So yeah, Kentucky fish for the South, West Virginia for the North. But Buck is thinking about buying a kayak. Talk him out of it, James. I think that getting an aluminum John boat is probably a better answer for Buck. All right, John, thank you. We'll jump off here in just a few minutes. We'll be over on your premiere. Thanks for jumping in, John. John just said, if Buck gets on a kayak, it'll be a weeble wobble. All right, Stephen, I'm glad I could answer that. All right, before we jump out of here, I just want to make sure if there's anybody on the 14 folks that are online, if they have any other questions coming up for the tournament, just like I said, I will be sending out everyone's participant code starting Friday afternoon through Saturday. And then I'll send out a mass email saying, just checking if you didn't get a participant code, please email me. So. Oh, so Buck has a John boat and a tractor, but no truck. Well, I mean, as you already know, James, you and Buck are a match made in heaven. You got a truck, he's got a boat. You guys go fishing. You won't have to buy a new tractor. Hey, thanks, Gary. We'll talk to you later. Of course, we'll talk to you later because we got to talk how much fishing poles and tackle I'm going to bring. Hey, Chris, thanks for jumping in here. I appreciate it. Good luck in the tournament. We'll go ahead and Josh, do you have anything you want to throw out there?
Nope.
Well, thanks for jumping up here with me.
Yeah, no worries.
We'll go ahead and cut it if I don't see it, since we don't have any more questions. The next live will be it will not be next Wednesday. It will be on, let me get my calendar up. It'll be on the 22nd of March, and that will be the first tournament update. The first tournament update will be the 22nd of March. It'll be a live it's a Wednesday afternoon live. I will be the weekend of the 17th, 18th, and 19th. I will be down fishing a tournament on Seminole. So if you send me catches during that time, you might not get an answer from me. Usually I'll say I got it or something like that, but I'll be out on the lake on those days. I'll try to catch up on Sunday night or Monday morning, registering everybody's catches, just FYI. So if you don't hear from me on those days, it's because I'm out fishing the bass tournament. So, all right. Good luck to everybody in the tournament. As Lindia said, as the reigning Big Bass champion, Shane Flint Outdoors Big Bass champion, she said good luck to everybody. And I'll throw out there good luck to everyone as well. Thanks for joining in tonight. Please jump over on YouTube. If you're not following Small Water Charters, John and Lindy at Small Water Charters, jump over. They have a premiere. Should be a pretty good video. I can tell you all of John's videos are really great and creative. So take a few minutes and enjoy that video tonight. So thanks again to everybody, and we'll see you and talk to you on the 22nd of March. Good luck, everyone.